Hello everyone, my name is Ignacio Nieves. We welcome you to our focus group and we want to thank you for participating in this discussion. Today we'll be talking about mobile carriers, more specifically Sprint. This focus group will take about 1 hour at minimum, ending at 3:45. First, to start off with an icebreaker so we can introduce ourselves and get to know one another. We're going to start with the right side and we're going to ask your name and whether you're an iPhone or Android user.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I am an Android user.
Hi, my name is Oscar, and
My name is Emily, and I'm an iPhone user.
My name is Eduardo, and I use Android.
Hi, my name is Martin, and I'm an iPhone user.
I'm Maya, and I use iPhone.
I'm Jessica, and I use an iPhone.
I'm Allie, and I use an iPhone too.
I'm Jessica, and I also use an iPhone.
I'm Karina, and I use an Android.
Awesome. Okay, well, I guess we want to start off with the discussion, and please feel free to chime in, or otherwise I'll be forced to pick you guys from right to left. What do you guys look for in a wireless carrier? One chime in?
affordability.
I look for cell reception.
That's for sure.
Do you guys travel a lot? Where is this like inside your house that you need it, or inside, or like when you go into school? I guess when is it? I hate speaking in front of others. When do you find it most critical that you need cell reception?
Always.
Literally anywhere.
Always?
Anywhere.
Anywhere,
I go to the mountains a lot, and like
Yeah.
a lot of the time I have AT&T, and like AT&T doesn't work well in the mountains, but I'll have friends that have like Verizon, and it will work up there.
Awesome. Do you guys at all? Anyone here travel outside of the United States or use an international plane?
Mhm.
You?
Yeah.
How frequently do you happen to travel?
Last year I traveled to Mexico 3 times. And I spent about a week each time I went.
Do you use cell phone service in that area?
Yeah.
Does it cost a lot, or do you?
Not too much. The thing that does hit me a lot with the cost is how much extra data I use for the day. Because I do have a limit, which is not too much, but I mean, I'm always on my phone, I'm always using data, so that's what really hurts my wallet.
What were you saying?
Whenever I leave the country, I just get a different SIM card, so I never use my carrier.
How interesting. Okay. I guess, which wireless carrier does everyone have? I guess we'll start.
I have T-Mobile.
Sorry, which wireless carrier and why?
T-Mobile because I used to have Sprint, and I didn't like it.
Oh boy.
I have Verizon. We always hear like good reviews, at least reliability, and I do get a discount with my work through there. So
I have Verizon. I have had Sprint at one point in my life, and it wasn't great. So back to the cell reception, Verizon's always there for you.
I have Metro PCS apparently by T-Mobile now. I pretty much have it for like the family plan. We have like 4 people on the same plan. It's like $165. But we also used to have like Cricket, and we didn't even have service at our house, so we couldn't keep that. We went back to Metro.
Alright, so I have T-Mobile, and quite frankly, I have no idea why we have it, but I do know it is pretty affordable for my family to actually own it, because we have like 6 lines or something.
I also use Verizon. I've actually only ever had Verizon as far as like how long I've had a phone and when it was necessary for me to like use cellular data. But I am also on the family plan. There are 4 of us, and obviously we've been loyal to the brand, so I mean the data is consistent and it's been pretty affordable. They also have Disney Plus is new, and they have like the combined, like we get Disney Plus with our
For free.
Verizon and like a lot of different subscriptions through Verizon.
I have AT&T, and my family used to have T-Mobile, but they moved. Or it was like AT&T, and then we had T-Mobile, and we went back to AT&T just because it was cheaper.
I have AT&T as well, and I just have it basically because my parents pay for it, and we've always had AT&Ts even before it was like Singular, and then now AT&T, so we've just always had it.
I have AT&T, and basically it's just because my family has it.
I have T-Mobile, and it's just more cost effective in terms of the family plan. That's why we have it.
Okay, so I guess from what I've understood, people here did not have a good experience with Sprint. Totally. And most of you are on family plans, so assuming that you guys don't really pay for it. Do you guys prefer coverage? What is more important to you, coverage or affordability?
I have a story. I'd say coverage because my best friend, within the past year, she was a Verizon user and then she switched to Sprint because they were doing a deal where like you get a free iPhone or something crazy like that and you can keep your number or whatever. So she went ahead and did that, but now the reception is so bad. We live in the same city that sometimes we have to FaceTime call rather than cellular call because the service just doesn't exist. So while I don't want to pay more, I will if it means I can make a phone call. Or at the end of the day, it's just a waste of money.
I kind of feel like it depends on how much of the coverage is too, because like that's really bad. You kind of need your phone in case like bad things happen. But at the same time, I also don't get service underground, and like that's not really too much of a deal breaker or anything. I could just go upstairs for like a bit or for whatever. If I just don't want anyone to bother me, I could go downstairs. But I mean, as long as it's not like too much of a trade-off.
Personally, I would choose affordability just because the fact that I don't get around very often. I'm kind of sedentary in my little room. So I do prefer affordability over coverage, but I do see coverage as being a very important factor due to how much people get around in the world. Just like if you're in a forest and you need to make a phone call for some reason, if you're on an island for some reason, you need to make a phone call, who knows?
I think it's important to note that when you start out with Sprint, it's $35 a month if you're on a singular line, as opposed to something like Verizon, which is $70 a single line. That's literally double the effect. Did you guys think if you guys were on a independently paying your phone bills, do you think it is worth it paying double the amount simply for better coverage? I guess we'll start from the right.
Well, I mean, since I'm in college right now, I kind of have to save up. So I think I would go with Sprint because I can't pay double the coverage for that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm already paying double for the better coverage. I have Verizon, and I think I'm paying a little more than double with Verizon. But I mean, if I had a different company, then since I spent a lot of my time here on campus and that service was not working on campus, I would consider going somewhere else to a different company. So it just has to work with my lifestyle, where I am all the time, where I hang out and stuff like that.
I think maybe before my friend's experience, I might have tried the cheaper coverage, but now I just, through secondhand experience, know what a nuisance it is, and we live in the same city, so I expect I've had the same issues. So yeah, it sounds bad when you say it's paying double, but it also is what I would need, so yeah, I'd have to pay it.
I mean, yeah, honestly, paying double is like a lot, but at the same time, I feel like I kind of need that coverage. It's really necessary. But I do kind of wonder about like, why is it double? Like, is it really that much better, or is it just like, am I a little overpaying it just by a bit?
I would have to pay for the $35. I just simply can't afford $70.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would go with the more affordable choice, and I think it's like a worthy trade-off, like sacrificing some like data accessibility in order to save money. Like I could get an extra whole month of phone service for getting the cheaper option than paying double for 1 month just to get like a little bit better data.
For me personally, I think I'd pay the double just because I'm like the type of person to be out and about a lot. So I kind of need the coverage, especially like being out without like Wi-Fi or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd probably pay more too because I'm like out and about a lot, like on my own too, and so like if there was like an emergency and I had Sprint and there was no like service and I couldn't make a phone call to like my family or something, I'd probably panic. So I would just pay more.
Yeah, I would also pay more because I get a lot of anxiety not knowing if I can make a phone call when there's an emergency too.
I'm gonna jump in here. It's not just phone calls, it's text messages.
Mhm.
So if you have iMessage and it's not getting delivered, the other person doesn't know. So I could be like, why haven't you talked to me for 2 hours? Like, why aren't you answering my text? And not that I'm a psycho, but if you're in the middle of a conversation and you don't hear anything back, you're like, okay, whatever. And maybe you're not gonna send that follow-up message. But at the end of the day, if the service just like doesn't work, it's very frustrating.
I think for my lifestyle now, I'd probably go with affordability, just as long as I can call my mom. That's the only thing that's important to me.
I guess as students, we spend a lot of time on campus, correct? Is that a fair assumption to say? Do you guys think that Wi-Fi is essentially a nice alternative to a service? Could you see yourself switching to less simply because of just the fact you spend so much time at school, where you have Wi-Fi coverage? I know that does not include texting and calling. That's very unfortunate. But yeah, would you guys think so?
I could. I mean, I spend the majority of my time in the TSU and the underground, which is essentially a basement. There's absolutely no service at all. And all I have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi there, and since I have an iPhone, I can text my friends who have iMessage. I can use any of my communication, like social media, like I can message people on Snapchat or Discord, or I can make phone calls through the internet. And so, like, it's really something that I wouldn't even notice if I didn't have data, since I'm connected to the school Wi-Fi. I don't really need it.
And I would say the same because when I was actually in Japan for a week, in the city of Tokyo, there's pretty much Wi-Fi literally everywhere. You could be like an alleyway and still get like connection to Wi-Fi for free. I'm like, where is this Wi-Fi coming from? I don't know. And then even on a train too, the train actually has Wi-Fi stations at every stop and on the train as well. So I'm like, what? This is amazing.
So you're always connected.
Always connected in Tokyo for some reason. So good.
Could you restate the question?
Can I restate the question?
Is it specifically in regards to data or just service in general?
I guess it was just
It was the internet.
Would you go for the more affordable option
Would- yeah.
if you knew you had access to Wi-Fi all the time on
Yeah.
campus?
Well, I do spend a lot of time here, but I also spend a lot of time at my job where no one has service except for me because I have Verizon. Sometimes I'm hotspot. So whenever like we need to look something up, even my bosses will be like, Emily, and like I get to play my music because I have service. So for me, it would make a huge difference in my mental health. So, like if I were cut off from my friends for my 8-hour shifts. So yeah, I do go places other than campus, and I need my data there.
I guess the question I have is that what do you guys use your cell phone service for that isn't texting and calling? Like, I know some people watch YouTube even though it is very data expensive. I know some people listen to music on the go. I guess how does having good coverage affect you besides texting and calling, which I understand is a huge thing. But what other differences does it make in your lifestyle? I guess I'm going to start from the left side.
Oh, okay. I was ready to go. Well, I listen to music all day, every day. So for me, it's important to have internet or connection or service because I feel like I would not function right without music. So that's why it's important to me.
Yeah, on my free time I like to watch like Netflix. So if I didn't have service, I'd get like anxiety because I'd be bored. I wouldn't have anything to do, and I wouldn't know what to do at all.
I do want to ask, you watch Netflix on like data?
Sometimes, yeah.
How fast does that rack up data?
I'm not sure. I have unlimited data,
Oh.
so it doesn't.
It's nice to have a limit.
Yeah.
Alright.
I use like Snapchat and Instagram a lot, so if I was on the go and I couldn't use those, I'd probably be frustrated because then I would have to sit there in boredom. So.
For me, it's also music and like social media, but I also use like maps a lot because I have really bad sense of direction. So like I visit like places are even like 5 minutes away because I might get lost.
Yeah, that's like a really good point. I'm like I always have my maps open. Like if I'm driving anywhere, I'll always use it, and just to even see traffic, how long it'll take me to get there, or even stuff like if I'm on campus, like having my email constantly refreshing so I know like if a class gets canceled, I don't walk all the way across to College Park to realize that class got canceled, or like keeping updates on like my friends and what they're up to, or if I'm bored, social media, keeping myself busy, music.
Could you restate the question again?
It was more so that how does having connection affect your life other than just texting and calling?
Okay. Personally, I really only use the internet to read and look at memes, so I don't need much data, so just a little bit of connection will do for me, but I can understand that for other people it's going to be a huge impact, because disconnecting from Wi-Fi nowadays is going to be really hard because of how connected we are to just the social media we are on.
Kind of just reiterating on like some of the earlier stuff. I do like go to work and stuff. I don't have a car, so I have to check. I use maps for like bus times and everything. It's very helpful. I can tell like what time I have to leave and all that, if it's coming late or early. So like having it load in super slow could have me like miss the bus and have to take like an Uber. And even if I didn't have service, I wouldn't be able to call an Uber.
OCTA does that now?
Huh?
OCTA does that now? Yeah.
I just use Google Maps,
Oh, okay.
and like it tells me all that information.
Wow.
But yeah, also music, because traveling and all that, bus takes forever.
I'd say the maps was a great point because, like you said, I'm always lost, so I use it probably every single day. And then music, because now I walk to school, which is awesome, but I probably have like a 15-minute journey of just me by myself. And on the way home, it's night. Well, actually, that would be a phone call. Anyway, yeah, like podcasts or music, just to fill the, you know,
silence.
walking. Yeah.
Yeah, same with pretty much with what everybody said. I mean, I don't use my phone. I don't call people. I don't like it when people call me. Send me text messages unless you're dying, then call me. But yeah, social media and then using maps. I like how maps lets us know like, hey, you have your next appointment at like in 30 minutes. You should leave right now because traffic is so and so heavy. And I like that it does that. And I don't think if I had any good service or Wi-Fi, it wouldn't be able to tell me that. And I also use my music too while I'm driving around, so because I don't want to listen to the radio. There's nothing really good on the radio anymore. It's mostly all commercials now. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I easily like use it for Netflix, for maps especially, because like I live far away, so I'm always like on the maps. Music too, but I also use it for work, like for Best Buy. So I'm always have to use it a lot. But so far, that's it, yeah.
All right. I guess moving on. I'd like to ask if you could please restate your carrier and what is the worst thing about your current plan / carrier. You can, if you guys have any experiences or stories, that would also be very helpful. I know Verizon hardly does anything wrong, but you know, in the case that you guys have anything. Would you like to?
So mine was T-Mobile. I think one of the things that I don't like about it is that if I go underground, there's just no service. So then if I'm being murdered, I can't call my mom. So that's my big issue.
have you called your mom today yet?
I did.
Okay.
I did call her. I think one time I went to the mountains. I don't know. I think you said it. Yeah. When you go up to the mountains, there's absolutely no service. So again, if I'm being mauled by a bear, who do I call? You know.
Not your mom.
Not my mom. She won't know. She won't know.
I have AT&T, and I think the worst thing is that I don't have service in my apartment. So I have to be connected to Wi-Fi, and if I'm not connected to Wi-Fi, I don't get service, I don't get calls, I don't get texts, and I feel like I'm just trapped in my apartment without anyone to talk to.
I have AT&T too, and I'd say yeah, the mountain, there's no service like up in the mountains. And second, it's really expensive actually. I don't pay for it, but I know like we have 5 people in my family, my parents pay for it, but our bill is like near $500 a month for all 5 of us having iPhones and unlimited data, so it's pretty expensive.
I also have AT&T, and I think the worst thing is like service is kind of patchy. Like in certain places, like you'll have a lot of service, and like some others like none at all.
I have Verizon. I think probably the biggest con is the price. The cost is really expensive, but I mean, it's a trade-off for like the service that you're getting with the provider is like top tier. Like you said, there's almost nothing that they've done wrong. So I would say definitely cost is the biggest con.
Again, my provider is T-Mobile, and I think the biggest con about T-Mobile is that it's kind of reliably unreliable. Because in my old high school, every time I went to class, like in the morning for basically the entire time I was there, I had no service. Just all the service was cut off because my school was made out of concrete and steel. It looked like a prison.
Cement
So,
concrete.
I think just the service just got cut out there, and I couldn't make a phone call until I got like outside of the campus.
So I have Metro PCS. Honestly, I don't think I've had too much of an issue with Metro. I have decent coverage, but like some parts it does get kind of patchy. But I feel like that's kind of just most carriers in general, besides Verizon. But aside from that, no complaints really.
Yeah, I have Verizon, and I think the biggest downfall is just the price.
Same, the price with Verizon.
For me is that, as you guys said, like there's no service in the mountains, and I had a bad experience with that one time. Recently I went skiing, and I was with the group, and then everyone had service except me, but then it came to the point where I was learning how to ski, so I went on my own, and then afterward I couldn't find my group. And so like I had to wait or like see someone that I recognized because it was so bad. But yeah, I think that was the worst.
I'm so sorry. I guess, okay, so moving on to our next question. Did your choice of, sorry, what made you choose what mobile carrier you are with today? Is it just family? It's pretty short, simple answer, but is it just family, price, coverage?
I think for me it was family because it's like 7 people in the line. So when we were with the previous carrier, it was too expensive for us. We couldn't really like afford it, and so that's why we moved into T-Mobile because it was like enough for us.
Definitely just coverage. I mean, my family all has Metro, and I don't want to be part of that unreliability. So. Yeah, they call it Metro PCS for a reason. Well, you guys, Metro piece of shit. Yeah. You guys are
I wasn't gonna say it, but
You were kind of painting it in a positive light, and then now we know the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine came down to family. It was just a family plan, so I stuck with it. But if I were to have to get my own, I think I would still stick with Verizon.
I think mine was mostly family. We kind of started off like with a family plan because you know it was a good deal for like family, but then we tried other family plans and it just either wasn't as good or it's just too expensive. So I feel like Metro was just like a good middle ground.
For me, it's definitely family because I don't think we ever switched from T-Mobile, ever.
Yeah, family, same here.
Yeah, mine was also family. Family. Yeah, family.
Mine was family, but when my mom chose it, of course. She chose it for affordability because it's 4 of us on the line, as opposed. She used to have Verizon, and it was really expensive. She was like, "It's not worth it. Sorry, guys."
No worries. I have moving on to our next question. Did your choice of phone affect the mobile carrier that you chose? For example, iPhones with their iMessage and so on have the ability to utilize Wi-Fi to utilize calling and texting. It's not exactly the same, but it utilizes it a lot more importantly. Does anyone have any? Was there a phone you had to have and eventually, unfortunately, had to like be linked with some kind of plan or something like the sort?
I don't think that's an issue anymore. I know in the past, like you could only have an iPhone with, I think, Sprint or not Sprint, AT&T, right?
Yeah.
But then that contract ended. Now Verizon has it, and I just
every
think
other carrier basically
almost
has it.
almost every other carrier has it, and I think another reason why I chose Verizon is that I could just pay my iPhone off monthly instead of having to pay for that entire phone all at once. I think T-Mobile doesn't offer that as of now. I don't know.
AT&T does the monthly thing
Mhm.
too, yeah.
I don't know, I don't have iPhone.
I know it did not affect my decision at all. That's my comment on that.
All good. So do you guys normally purchase your phone from your carrier store or another store such as Apple or Samsung? So like when you guys go in for upgrades or whatever you guys do for it, what is your current means of upgrading your phone or getting a new phone?
I just go straight to my carrier. I just go to Verizon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get the upgrades because my family doesn't love me that much. So I have to buy my own phones when I get a new one. And I typically go to Verizon. I think they switch everything over too. Or I don't know anything, so I know they're able to help me, but I'm sure Apple would help me too.
So, the thing with Androids, well, kind of, is that they get outdated really fast. So, I've been with Metro for like a while, and like every year I think they offer like a deal on an upgrade. So my newest phone or my latest phone, I got like $200 off. It would have been like $400, but it ended up being like $200. So I feel like that was a really good deal, and kind of like has me stay with them too. But like, if you have like an iPhone, it's not like as obvious that it has to be updated every year or so. So like, I feel like it really depends on the kind of phone you use.
I go to the carrier just because it's a lot more convenient, and I think as Oscar was saying, T-Mobile does offer the monthly plan.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, because I just got my new iPhone like this summer, so I think we're still paying that off right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I haven't gotten a new phone in a while, but every time I do, we do like the exchange for the upgrade. Like I give them like if I was getting a new phone now, I would give them the phone that I'm currently using and they would upgrade and it would, I think, take off some of the cost of the new phone. So I always go through my carrier.
I also go through my carrier. It's just more convenient that way. Like they do everything for you and they like switch over like all your data from phone to phone, and it's a little bit cheaper that way because like AT&T also does like the monthly for like iPhones and stuff. Or like I think they do a thing where like you could like give them what you have and then like you pay a difference. Like if you have an 8 and you want to get like a 10 or something, you like give them the 8 and then you like pay the difference or something like that.
I just go to my provider too. I don't have, like, there's an Apple here, but in my hometown we don't have an Apple, so we just go to the AT&T store.
I go to Best Buy and I give them my phone and they give me a new phone and they do everything that needs to be done.
Yeah, I go to Best Buy too. I think that, I don't know, they just do everything for you, so you get to chill about it. Yeah.
So from my understanding, we actually, no one here has Sprint at the moment, correct?
Okay, we were just discussing. I think it was with you. I think I said I didn't even know they still existed.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
Keep up with your report.
I'm obligated to ask. I guess we can go around and talk about your perception of Sprint, whether or not you've had it or not. So I guess we'll start from.
I've never had Sprint. Everyone who has ever had Sprint has told me that it's really bad. So I just stay away from it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, same. Everyone that's had it, it's like, it sucks, don't get it. I didn't even know it still existed, like we were talking about. I thought I thought it was like associated with like Cricket. I think Cricket's like a small one, so I was like, okay, Sprint's like that. I didn't think of it as like
See, I know
large
Cricket's around,
corporation.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had it. I don't know anyone that's had it, but just like, I've heard that it's not the
It
best.
has a negative perception.
Yeah.
I've also never had it or heard anyone who's had it, but like after hearing what people have been saying today, I guess I don't have a positive.
I know I'm really close with my mom's side of the family, and they all had Sprint for the longest time, and they would always complain about not having service or just not being like. I know that they had good like upgrades, like they always had better phones than me, but I feel like I would rather have like the lower like model of the phone and have good service than to have an upgraded phone and not even be able to use any applications or anything. So I've heard some bad things about Sprint.
I personally don't know anyone that uses Sprint, but I've seen enough memes to like generate a bad perception around it.
I know my dad used to, I think we used to have it at one point. I had it with like those keyboard phones that like slide up. And I think that was like the biggest reason, but at one point we switched, so I could only assume it was not very reliable.
Yeah, I actually did have Sprint at one point in my life, and I had some pretty sick phones. But the service was bad then, and I think it's only gotten worse since. I think to fix their perception, they would need to like restructure on the back end, because just like sell it.
Let us know they're still around.
Like, but the thing is, like, they're structurally bad. Like, it's not even like, oh, they need a new PR person. Like, they need to change their programming or whatever it is, or their waves of communication. So yeah, I'm not going back anytime soon.
I already said I already done my damage.
Well, my family actually started with Sprint because my uncle was the manager for a store for Sprint. And so he would always tell us, like, oh, you know, like, start with Sprint. And so we did. And we were there, like, for, I think, 6 years with Sprint. But then afterward, like, the price started, like, going up and up to the point, like, it was way too much that we were paying. And then besides that, it was, like, the service as well. Anytime we would go somewhere, like, we wouldn't get good service. And so little by little, like, we just like moved out of it and moved to T-Mobile instead.
Does he still talk to you guys?
Cut him off from the family. So I guess some tidbit of information regarding your discussion about whether Sprint was still alive. As of April 2019, I believe, they're actually merging with T-Mobile. Sprint is currently the 4th largest cell phone carrier in the United States, and they're essentially going to go bankrupt if they don't do any. They're going to go bankrupt regardless. They're going to die off, and it's whether or not they are going to collaborate with T-Mobile, which will actually make it the largest network, or it will just die off. It's just some tidbit of information. But no matter what, they are heading towards failure very quickly.
So don't buy a
I guess
Sprint contract.
I guess I have to change my mobile carrier.
You have Sprint right now?
No, it's
Oh.
not. They're,
No,
Oh,
Sprint.
No, they're gonna add
they're
it.
gonna merge together.
Yeah,
right?
so it's gonna have Sprint's coverage is gonna be added onto it. So it's still gonna be T-Mobile, but just they're gonna I guess
The one antenna Sprint
That's
has.
weird. Yeah.
T-Mobile's gonna acquire it.
I don't know. I think Sprint just like, because the internet technology evolves so quickly that like Sprint stayed in like 2004. Which is why nobody goes to Sprint.
So
Sprint users still use MySpace.
So
Yeah.
actually in 2004, Sprint merged with a company called like Nova or Knox. Something very I've never heard of it. And since 2004, they've actually been on a huge financial decline after that collaboration, that merge, and they've never been able to recuperate any sales whatsoever. I think this year alone, they've reported that they've lost over tens of millions. Oh,
Dude, I didn't even know that.
they're just stuck in 2004. You're right. So I guess you started off with it earlier, but what would make you guys have a good perception of Sprint? Like, what can they do to make you like them?
Not go
Sell.
bankrupt?
Sell.
I understand you said that they need to communicate better. They
No, I think like they're like like I don't even know what the technological terms are, but
Like
whatever
the coverage.
Just better
their
service.
coverage
Needs
needs
to
to
be
be
better.
better. So whatever it takes on that end, like the way of communication, like they don't need to communicate more with like the publics. They need to fix themselves, and then that would be the beginning of their return, I guess.
I do want to ask, would you guys switch to Sprint if it was if it was even more costly than Verizon, but way better coverage? Like you never had any issues. I know this is a completely hypothetical question, but would you be comfortable paying more for better coverage at this point?
I think
No.
the coverage that we already get with Verizon
Yeah.
is like enough. Like it's already expensive enough, but I'm already getting like coverage everywhere I go. Like I never like don't have service. I always have at least one bar, so I'm able to at least like function with some sort of coverage. But like I wouldn't ever need more than what I already have.
All right. Anyone else?
Isn't it like
Yeah.
$70 too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
for
the-
full
I would not
coverage,
pay like more than
$80-ish.
70.
Yeah,
I feel like any more coverage would just be complete overkill.
Yeah.
So you guys.
You guys say that now, but wait until you actually need more coverage and
Yeah,
and
I
and you guys are on the go more often and.
For right now, I have coverage everywhere I go. I also don't pay for it, so. I mean, Verizon's real nice right now. It's free for me. But no, I have no problem, so I wouldn't want to pay more for an upgrade.
I feel like the coverage we have is pretty nice, but at the same time, I don't doubt that people would like not pay more for extra coverage. Just to be like, oh, I'm better than Verizon, you know.
That's fair.
All right. I guess we're gonna move on to advertising and how effective commercials are in your perception of it. When you guys think that, you know, there's Super Bowl ads for phone carrier companies and such, what do you think makes effective advertising for any sort of, I guess, provider in this instance? Like, what would you guys be more inclined to switch to a service that many celebrities endorse, whether it is Verizon or AT&T or something of the sort? If you knew that 95% of celebrities had AT&T, anything of the sort, would that actually change your perception of AT&T?
I don't know if this answers your question, but I would say to go through the skirt rewind. I would support celebrity advertising, not to make me choose a carrier, because I think I'm going to choose it based off of like the coverage and the financial obligation, but I'd be more proud of it due to like the popularity of it. Like, I have no shame in saying I have Verizon, but I mean, I don't think anyone's embarrassed of their phone carrier, but at the end of the day, like, the advertising has really nothing to do with who I would choose, but I mean, it doesn't hurt if there's like a celebrity at the Super Bowl. But then again, how much faith is there in like celebrity endorsement anyway?
Yeah.
Like, just because you're in the commercial doesn't mean you even have them.
Like, you know that they get paid millions just to say this is the best carrier, so
Yeah.
it's not really trustworthy, especially if you're smart enough to know that they get paid so much money.
Isn't there a celebrity, or not a celebrity, but there was like a famous person that became famous through doing like Sprint ads? Or they were doing Verizon and now they're with
Verizon.
Sprint.
Yeah.
Is it that?
Oh,
yeah,
the
Can
Can
You
You
Hear
Hear
Me
Me
Now
Now?
guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where's the loyalty
He's with
there?
Sprint now?
How much is he
And
making?
how is Sprint doing again?
That's why they're bankrupt. They had to write that
Spend it all on the
check.
guy.
Yeah. They're like, this'll do it, guys.
I guess, fortunate. Moving on to the next question. Which streaming services would do you like paired with your mobile plan? Let's just say that, you know, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, Metro, I don't even remember the last 3 words, that's how irrelevant it is. PCS.
You don't have to say the other one, right?
It was in my mind, but it was incorrect. I guess, would you switch carriers if they provided a lot more? You know, like Netflix, Hulu. I know that Sprint with its plan offers Hulu for like a huge amount. I think it's just for like, yeah, for the $35. Whereas if you pay like $80, which is extremely excessive, you get stuff like Amazon Prime, which is in itself like $150 value, I'm pretty sure. What companies would you like to see being paired with carriers?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any like public numbers on how many people take advantage of those like paired subscriptions? Because I know through Verizon, I mean, you guys have mentioned a couple options, and I don't take advantage of any of them. Because one, I don't know, and two, I don't know. I didn't even know they existed, and I know I don't take advantage of them. So I mean, that's my bad, but also like how many people are taking advantage of them?
I mean, I definitely did take advantage of the Disney Plus with Verizon, because I really did not want to pay for it, especially since I pay for all my family's streaming. So if they wanted, they could pay for it, but now I'm not paying for it, so they could all have it. But I wouldn't mean if a company with less coverage like T-Mobile, or questionable coverage, like T-Mobile was offering like free Netflix and Hulu, I don't think I would still go to them, because I wouldn't even use their data. Because I wouldn't be able to rely on their data to actually be able to use those
I believe
screens,
Just
services.
a dark circle.
Yeah,
I believe that you can make accounts with them. You don't have to use their data, so it would impact your your home or school life where you can use Wi-Fi
Yeah.
to use these kind of services.
yeah, but if I didn't have that option of using Wi-Fi, data's the next
Mhm.
kind of best thing, and Verizon, I mean, T-Mobile doesn't have the
Yeah.
best
Plus, you can
coverage.
find anything on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get that with any service provider.
I feel like Spotify would be huge though. Like almost everyone uses Spotify for some kind of like radio app, Pandora, iHeartRadio.
People still use Pandora.
I don't know. They use one of those.
I guess to pair it off, sorry, who here has AT&T? Do you guys use the DirecTV whatsoever? Because I know it comes free with DirecTV, and that's like it's huge thing.
What?
My parents have DirecTV, yeah, through like AT&T and stuff.
Would you say it's a necessity for you, or is it really that big of an
Yeah,
add-on?
for my family, we use DirecTV because like my dad loves football and he gets like the NFL, I don't know what it's called, package. You get to like watch every single game. So for my family, yeah, it's the DirecTV thing is a big plus.
No, my family doesn't use it. They just go on Netflix and all that stuff. They don't care about DirecTV.
My family uses it, I think. Or yeah, we have DirecTV, so I'm pretty sure it's like because we have AT&T also. But I think it's pretty big because our family likes watching TV a lot too. But like personally for me, like I don't live with them anymore, so I don't have DirecTV like where I'm at my apartment. So I don't think it really affects me if I have it or not because I don't even use it. Like I don't really watch TV, so.
Well, all right. I guess moving on to another question. Can I ask who here? Do we all have unlimited data, or is there?
Unlimited.
I guess we'll just go around. Do you have unlimited data?
No.
No. Okay. Unlimited.
Yep.
I do.
No.
Unlimited. I do.
I do too.
Okay. Would you guys think that? Fun. Everything was going well until now. Dear God. What are the things? Are there any restrictions that you'd like to see be removed from your current carriers, whether it is unlimited data? So something about unlimited data is that it's not actually unlimited. What it does is, yeah, there's an internal cap of some plans have different caps, but there's a 25 gigabyte cap on most plans, and once you go over that, you essentially go on to 3G, which is worse than 4G, and you'd actually be surprised how much slower it is. Would you be more inclined to switch to Sprint in this instance, where you have a genuine unlimited amount? Do you guys even use that much data while you're out? I guess.
I don't think I've ever noticed, honestly.
Yeah, I have no idea how
I
much
don't
I
think
know.
my family never really goes over because we are on Wi-Fi a lot of the time, so like we're only using that unlimited data like when we're not home or something.
Plus, at the end of the day, like the issue with Sprint is their bad service. So I don't care if it were cheaper or faster, whatever. It's just not happening.
From my understanding, the complete downfall of this is that no matter what, their coverage is god awful, and
The cell phone service provider, I want them to provide the service.
and almost nothing will make you guys switch to it just because it is one of the worst providers. Is that fair to say?
Can't use the data if it's not there.
Right.
All right. If you were to make if you guys had any advice on how to make mobile carriers better, what would it be? Otherwise, having service underground or in the mountains, what would a service provider you're looking for, or what would an up and coming service provider have to do to win you over? Is it just payment? Is it just
Probably price and maybe like the pairing thing, like, I don't know. I look at the pairing services like together as a good thing. I know other people like don't really care, but I think it's cool.
I think a really good international plan would work. I mean,
Yeah.
because I do travel to Mexico quite often, and so I mean, having a good affordable plan, and that I could rely on service, not have to pay extra if I go over the 0.5 gig or whatever that they offer me.
Yeah, because I think affordability and just good coverage is correlated. You pick something because it's affordable and you can call from wherever you are.
does that can that correlation be made in terms of streaming services? Or it's just you guys need it to be cheaper?
I think the basis is pretty much we need the affordability and the coverage, but the extra stuff and the international plan are pretty much what sets it apart from the other carriers and what helps us decide to pick that one.
I think either way, even if we use streaming services, we don't use data. We use like Wi-Fi, or if you have internet at home.
A lot of streaming services relies on Wi-Fi too.
Yeah, so either way, I think the most important is just good coverage, just affordability.
Okay, well, with that merger that I had mentioned before about T-Mobile and Sprint, as far as I understand, Sprint will be liquidated entirely and just turned into T-Mobile as well. They will be the first and largest network to have 5G data. Is that something that anyone here is looking forward to?
Not really. I don't know.
4G is good enough?
I feel like-
They would really have to just like be way better than Verizon is right now, because they have really great customer service. I've never had an issue with them. Besides the pricing, which is my only complaint with Verizon, I mean, they would just have to really one-up them a lot.
And I think consistency is really important too. Like, if it doesn't matter how fast your data is going to be, if you're not getting consistently that coverage everywhere you go, like, what's the point?
Anyone else?
What was the question? Sorry.
Whether 5G is essentially a thing that would interest you to switch to another, in this case it would be T-Mobile, because as Sprint's turning into T-Mobile, they will turn into a 5G network, the first in I guess America's, first in the United States is the correct word.
Well, I already have T-Mobile, so for me it's just whatever.
Like, yeah, they're gonna. I mean, that would.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, they're gonna be the first 5G, but where is it gonna be available?
Just in the United States.
Yeah, but I mean, like, is it gonna be a spotty 5G where it's gonna get me into some places? Because T-Mobile has a reputation of being spotty, and
I have a question. Will Sprint completely disappear, or will they still have their own brand and be
they
paired
already
with
have.
T-Mobile?
They will,
Besides that.
as far as I understand, they will completely disappear.
I think
So
it means
then-
like T-Mobile like.
It just
buy
becomes
it.
bigger. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, essentially.
I don't even know if 5G was.
Since
So
they're
can
yeah,
people
like
still
that's
sign
Verizon
up for Sprint?
4G?
Yeah.
Eventually, I
So-
believe no.
So since they have
Uh,
5G, we'll
this-
see more time to
This
go
whole,
to
I guess it goes into more political things, but this is essentially a monopoly,
Right.
and something that the U.S. has gone very much against. And for whatever reason, people like Trump and House of Representatives, I want to say, that could be. I know Trump has publicly endorsed it, but publicly endorsed the merging of these companies, specifically in a race versus China. China, yeah. China is apparently, we are in a race, supposedly race, for 5G for China, versus China, whichever nation
Like
can
the
get it
moon
first.
landing all over again.
It's a space race.
Except
And I kind of feel China's gonna beat us to that anyways. I mean, China or maybe even Japan are gonna beat us, because I think it was you that said you went to Tokyo. That's Japan, right?
Japan wins.
Yeah.
They have Wi-Fi everywhere
Yeah,
you go.
like they're-
Like,
We should all just live in Japan.
yeah.
I'm not that desperate for 5G.
yeah, the team gets faster internet first.
Fun. Right now we have some videos to play for you guys at this moment. Awesome. Sick.
Hold on.
Oh,
Hold on. Where'd it go?
personal information.
Yeah,
Don't
don't
worry.
look at it, you guys.
Like honors grad, don't know anything about that.
Oh.
Hello, everyone.
I needed an intro. Oh god, my thoughts. I guess we'll just go through them, and we're gonna go through the different companies and see which one, whether they affect you in a, whether they have a positive experience on you or a bad experience.
Does that even connect to audio? I don't know.
Oh.
Yes, it does.
Old Sprint app.
You're that guy with the phones, aren't you?
Sprint PCS phones.
Yeah, that's right. You're up awful early.
A lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, must be tough. Helping out all those folks.
Comes with the job.
You sure have run across some odd situations, though, haven't you?
I called him and I said, get a movie, you know, something old.
I heard get a monkey with a cold.
A monkey?
It's not his fault. What happened? I ordered 200 oxen, but they sent us all these little winger dogs. 200 dachshund. I can't argue with you there.
So, how do you keep stuff going all the time?
It's a good feeling bringing clarity to people's lives.
Clarity's nice.
Especially when it means clear calls and consistent service on the Sprint PCS nationwide network. It's the largest all...
Wait, don't tell me. The largest all-digital, all-PCS nationwide network built from the ground up and reaching over 230 million people.
Wow, you've been listening.
Guess so.
Clarity, nationwide network. That's how Sprint PCS gives folks a better handle on things. Helps them stay connected to family and friends and all kinds of information. Well, time to hit the bricks. Keep it.
Thanks, mister. I don't even know your name.
Just remember Sprint PCS.
Good luck out there.
The ultimate pickup line.
And is all set to enjoy the kind of clarity Sprint PCS delivers. You are too. Now that you've got a Sprint PCS phone of your own. Welcome to Sprint PCS. I'm glad you're with us.
Do I just like go through the whole thing?
No, that was enough time for me to gather my thoughts for some enthralling more questions. Woo!
Do you guys
Awesome.
know when that ad was made?
2007, it said it was uploaded. I'm inclined to believe probably older.
It looked very 2007.
Yeah, flip phone
Yeah.
still. Like,
They're 2004.
Very
Just-
2004.
All right. I guess.
Are we talking about our feelings for that commercial?
I kind of I wanted to cringe.
You were the only one that laughed.
It was so cringy.
I feel like they're just lying. Like, I get it. Like, it's all about advertising, but I'm like, you're full of it. Because it's not true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know if it was just because it was really old, but it almost felt like satire, like a skit that I would put on in one of my classes almost, you know? Like, it felt like they were trying to sell it really hard, and I just wasn't convinced.
It felt way too inorganic to be like Yeah.
It wasn't even like catchy. It just like took a really long time to like, get to the
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
the beginning part, I was like, that's what Sprint is. Like,
So their service isn't good, their communication isn't good, their infrastructure isn't good, their advertising, just overall everything seems to be negative about them.
well, that is a very old one too, so I can't really apply it to today.
I think we should watch one of the newer.
Oh wow, just in luck we have one.
Oh,
From
Well,
2018.
last year, they were still
Oh,
around
wow.
last year? Dude, that was
They had an ad for this year.
did they really? They saved their money.
Artificial intelligence. Evelyn continues to learn at an exponential rate. Only a week ago, I believe.
Doctor, I still don't understand why you have unlimited with Verizon. Why wouldn't you switch all your lines to Sprint?
What?
I've analyzed the data. Sprint's network reliability is less than a 1% difference than Verizon's, yet you choose to pay twice as much.
I never thought of that.
I never thought of that.
Ha.
You're laughing at your expense. Okay, guys, it wasn't that funny.
You got a dumb face.
Why is he Canadian?
So what made you switch? My coworkers are making fun of me. Stop paying twice as much for less than a 1% difference. Switch to Sprint.
What the fuck is that on the right? What is that on the right? That's horrifying.
Okay. How did that guys make you feel?
I didn't like it. It made me feel very uncomfortable.
It seemed as if they went more for a not
It's like they're saying, okay, we know our data isn't as good, but we're cheaper, right? Like you should
And it's
switch over.
close.
To
Less
this.
than a 1%
Yeah.
reliability, like,
even based
In
on everyone's
terms of
I
tested
want to
what?
know where they
That's too
turned into that
self-aware.
data from.
yeah.
That was too self-aware.
Like, oh look, here in Chattawa, Iowa, whatever, there's a less than 1% difference. See? Like, I don't know.
The ad went from feeling inorganic to literally inorganic.
I guess a quick thing. At this point, does the name Sprint scare you? Like, do you have the same thoughts of, I don't know if you guys have heard of Boost Mobile. There's another company, but they're just owned by the same company that owns Sprint. Would you just completely knowing that, would you just stay away from that as well?
Yeah.
Even if it was like
I
extreme.
just hear Boost. I'm like, why? I don't need that either.
Are they still around?
Exactly.
Are they?
I have no idea. My
Were they
dad's-
more like a walkie-talkie kind of a thing? Like,
I think that was Sprint.
it wasn't? Okay.
Boost Mobile is still alive somehow. The more you know.
Are they actually owned by the same company?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh,
Who
that
owns
makes
them?
sense.
You could tell.
Maybe they do need a new PR team.
It's fun. It was on our pest. That was great. On the whole focus group thing. We'll get back to
It's
it.
okay, you don't have, you don't have to remember it.
I guess. Does anyone have any positive experiences with the carrier they currently have that they'd like to share? Like something that you know that under that name, if you had another carrier, it would not have been the same.
Well, I think just being at my job, I work close to the ocean, so maybe that's why there's poor cell service. But like I said earlier, I'm probably one of the only people I know that has service there. So like I said, I get to play my music. Whenever like customers, I work at Trader Joe's, so whenever customers like want to know something, I'm always the one that gets to Google it, which means I get to not do what I'm supposed to be doing for like 10 minutes and just talk to someone. So, I mean, it's such an insignificant thing when you think about it. Like, it's just your service provider at work. Like, how does that matter? I shouldn't be using my personal cell. But because nobody has service, I get to. So, yeah.
You have privileges that others don't.
And it's such an insignificant thing, but because I'm the only one, it makes it special. I mean, there are some people that do have Verizon. I guess a couple other people have service. But when it comes to music, after hours, it's all me.
All right. I guess I'll go from the right to left. Does anyone have any final thoughts on what you guys have learned from this session? I'm scared to ask that actually.
Alright, let's do it.
Well, so far, I still see that Sprint it hasn't improved at all, right? And there's nothing that will make me change to them.
Yeah, I mean, Verizon is keen, Sprint is not. And yeah, I mean, they're going bankrupt for a reason, so.
What's your service provider?
Metro.
Okay, early on I was like, that's like, you know, sounds good. If I ever have to pay my own bill, like maybe I'll go that route. But then you guys literally shit on that idea, so maybe I
Literally a
won't.
piece of shit.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm happy with my provider.
Yeah, I think I'm good with what I have now. Pretty much all I've learned is that like coverage and price is very valuable when it comes to phones. Everything else is kind of like privileges, I guess. Whatever that word is.
The memes are accurate.
I think I kind of just realized how much value I put into like what I prioritize in terms of affordability and coverage, and having an understanding of like what the different providers are going to offer you, and are you willing to sacrifice like spending a little more for way better coverage or saving your money for less coverage, I guess.
Before this, I didn't really know a lot about Sprint, but I guess now I know I'm not gonna get service from them.
I would say I didn't know much about Sprint, but I guess their price is good, and if you're really, really on a budget, then that might be the only case it's positive for you.
I didn't even know Sprint still existed.
There you go.
So now I know it exists, but I don't think I'd ever switch to Sprint.
I think this workshop just showed me how much we take for granted our coverage and affordability, because some people just cannot afford like Verizon, for instance, and have that really good coverage, so they have to turn to like Sprint or Metro PCS. I think we just take advantage of our privileges.
All right. Well, we want to thank you, everyone, for your input and all the discussion you provided. The session has now ended. Thank you once again for participating. And it's over. Woo.
Doesn't it feel good to have that over with?
What?
Doesn't it feel good now that that part's over with?
It felt horrible the entire way through.